Hey there, it's Instructor Daniel, and you're welcome to this course once again. In the last video, we made sure we talked about the part where you need to pick the right test, and emphasis was made truly on the various test types that we have, even the categories of the IELTS tests that we have. The life skill A1, B1. We talked about the academic test, the general training, the regular, the UKVI. Every test variant was addressed. So all of them, none was left out of the picture. So today we want to take a quick reality tour of the four modules that we are going to see that you're going to come across when you take the IELTS exam. Definitely, you are going to be assessed on four levels that reflects on your skills that shows your competence in this language. Of course, every developed language has four critical areas: the writing part, the listening part, the speaking, and the reading. So in the IELTS, it's not going to be any different. You're going to be tested on four levels: the writing, listening, reading, and speaking. Okay, here we call them modules, we don't actually call them skills. Okay, and then my job here in this video is to ensure that I give you a quick reality tour of all four modules. I won't be sharing any deep strategies yet because there's a place for that, but I will show you what they actually look like so that you don't get to feel lost when you eventually come across them. Because once you see the patterns, one thing is sure, your fear for the IELTS will start to disappear. Okay, so without further ado, let's go. The first part of the course of the IELTS exam that we need to consider is the listening test. The listening test is one that runs for a period of 30 minutes, and within the 30 minutes, you have 40 questions to answer. One time only, which means you're going to be listening to the audio once and once alone. You won't have the opportunity to rewind, to replay, to do whatever you want to do with the audio. No, it's going to be played once, and you have to listen attentively so that you can answer the questions that you have in your question paper. Listen, the answer to all the questions that you have there will be highly dependent on the information that you can make out from the recording. So it's important that you pay rapt attention to the details that you'll be hearing from that audio. So remember, another thing also that is good that I mentioned is that the listening test has four sections. Like four sections, and the sections are aligned in such a way whereby they they follow a progressive difficulty order where section one will be easy, section two will be a bit tougher than section one, then section three will be more complex than section two, and section four will be way more sophisticated than section three. So it's important that you know how this thing works so that you can ready your mind and steady yourself in anticipation of anything that you come across. So what exactly are you going to be seeing in section one? In section one, when the record for section one is being played, you are going to hear two people chatting about everyday stuff. It might be hotel booking or taxi reservation or appointment, whatever it might be. Okay, but it's going to always have this context where two people are having a random conversation about something that can easily happen in the society everyday setting. It's a common setting. Okay. Then section two will now be one person talking. It might be a radio announcement. Sometimes it can even be a person giving a tour guide. Right. So that's the kind of setting that you're going to be seeing in section two. Then section three is where you have a group discussion, like more like students or colleagues planning about something. That's the kind of context you'll be seeing in section three. While in section four, it's going to be a one man giving a talk or somebody giving a presentation. It might be an academic lecture, more like a lecturer or a professor giving a lecture or a lesson. Okay, so that's the kind of context you're going to see in section four. The test is predictable, which means that these settings that I've just given to you will always be present in every listening test that you take. Section one, two persons, section two, one person, section three, three to four persons, having this kind of conversation amongst themselves, planning about something in more like training training or educational context. Then section four is going to be academic related, where a person will be giving a presentation or a lecture about something. Okay, the same. The question types too might be shuffled, but they are still within the same range. It might be multiple choice, it might be true false question, it might be short answer, gap filling question. Any of these questions might just pop up on your test day. So it's predictable 100%. Once you master these sections, master the context, master the question types, you are definitely going to crush the listening test. There's nothing so special about it. Then we have the reading test where you have 60 minutes to take on this particular test. You have three passages, unlike the listening that you have just four. And then here the reading you have only three passages or three sections, and for each of the sections, especially in the academic test, you are going to see one passage allocated to each section in the academic test, unlike the general training that you might see diverse passages for each of the section. Okay, you have 40 minutes to go through. You have 40 questions, rather 40 questions to answer, right? 60 minutes, three sections, 40 questions to answer, and you will not be given an extra time. Now I forgot to say this about the listening test. The listening test, you might be given extra time, especially if you're taking the paper-based test, which is only available for those outside Nigeria. If you are in Nigeria, then if you're a Nigerian, then zero the chances of you taking a paper-based test. It has been approved, it has been cancelled. Okay, those outside have the opportunity of choosing between a paper-based test or a computer delivered test. It's not available for Nigerians. Okay, so when you take the computer delivered test, you'll be given extra minutes to go through your answers again to be sure, not just go through your answer, but transferring your answers from the question sheet to the answer booklet. Okay, so you have extra time. But in the reading test, there will be no such thing as extra times. You have zero extra times because there'll be no need for you to transfer your answers. You are expected to input your answer directly in the answer booklet as you answer your question in the reading test. Okay. Then what about what exactly will not be the reading passages? What will be the context of the reading passages that you see in the IELTS? Like I've said before, that the general training, I mean the academic test, we have abstract kind of passages that are being adapted from journals, books, magazine, or even more formal and longer sentence, more formal kind of text will be used in this case. They will be long, they will be longer than necessary. I won't say necessary per se, but they'll just be long, right? And then the dinner training will now be one that resonates with your everyday kind of text, something that can be called from ads, notices, guides, articles, and other sources that tend to relay more practical text. Okay, things that are relatable, 100% relatable with the things that you experience every day. Now the biggest killer is here is that people in the course of trying to answer or take on the reading test, they read the text or the passages word by word. They read it word for word, and it's the worst way to approach the reading test because you have a limited time, 60 minutes to go through 40 questions and go and read through passages in three sections. It's not a joke. It's time consuming and it's even exhausting. So reading word for word is the worst way to approach the IELTS reading test. There are several reading techniques that you can employ, like skimming, scanning, and the rest of them, in order for you to navigate through the IELTS reading test within the short period of time that have been allocated to you. Okay, so if once you know how to utilize these reading techniques in the IELTS reading test, you are definitely going to crush the reading test. Plus the fact that we have 40 questions, and listen, the questions are not going to be the same all through. It's going to be a blend of diverse question variants like multiple choice, true, false, not given, yes, or even yes to not given. You might even see matching headings, matching features and classification, gap filling questions, short answer questions, or matching questions. So there are just loads of question types that might pop up on your test day. But once you master all these questions, know how to answer them effortlessly and efficiently, you are definitely going to kill this test 100%. Then we have the writing test, which is a 60 minutes test that usually have two tasks, two parts that we call tasks. We call them tasks. And the first one we call tax one, the second one we call tax two. They're not the same for both test candidates. I'm referring to those taking the general training and the academic test. They're quite different. They're not exactly the same. And it's important that you know the one that you're going to be coming across or you're going to be seeing on your test day. If you're taking the academic test, then the first tax, which we call the tax one, is one where you have to write a report. And what type of writing do we ascribe as report writing? It's one where you have to describe a chart, a graph, a map, a process, or whatever the diagram might be in your own words. Now, seeing this graph, seeing this chart or diagram that you've been given, you have to describe what you're seeing in print in your own words. Okay. Then the next one that we have is the general training. Those taking general training for the tax one, they are going to be expected to write a letter. It might be a formal, semi-formal, or informal letter. The point is that you have to write a letter and you have to do it well. Then the tax two is what like I've said previously, is the same for both test candidates, whether you're taking the academic test or you're taking the general training, it's still the same task that you have to do, which is the essay writing. Okay, where you might see different type of essays. It might be opinion, discussion, problem and solution, advantages and disadvantages, and so on and so forth. You see, the problem here that most people have in the writing test is that they tend to spend more time on the writing tax one because of some reasons. People might think that the writing tax one is a bit complex or a bit complicated, and for that reason, they tend to spend more time on the writing tax one. But here's the truth: the writing tax two is the real deal. It's where the main points that you're going to be getting in the IELTS writing test reside. So, if there's any advice I'm going to give you in this short course, is that you need to prioritize the writing tax two over the writing tax one. But that does not mean you should neglect the writing tax one, because the writing tax one, even though it's giving you one third of the entire points you get in the writing test, it's also important that you pay attention to it. Why the tax two will be giving you two third of the entire point you'll be getting the writing test. So by all means, try as much as possible to have a balanced approach between the two tasks. Then moving on to the speaking test, you should understand that the speaking test is another segment of the test where you'll be examined or evaluated on the premise of your ability to speak like not like speak like a native per se, but handle conversation verbally in English language. Okay, this test will be one that runs from 11 to 14 minutes, and it's one where you have an examiner that will be anchoring the whole speaking exercise. This person will be asking you questions, and the questions are categorized in three parts, what we can refer to as part one, part two, and part three. In the part one, the examiner's question will be one that is casual and usually things that you can easily answer that sounds like small talk. Okay, it might be questions about your home, your hobbies, your daily life, and so on and so forth. Then we have the part two, where it's going to look like the speaker will be giving you a cue card, a card that contains a topic, a topic that you need to read, think about how to answer within the space of a minute, and then you'll be asked to talk about that topic in 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, from that point, you move to the third part, which we call the part three. And the purpose of the part three is that you should be able to have deeper discussion on abstract ideas. Okay, now here's the problem that a lot of people encounter with the IELTS speaking test. They think that the IELTS speaking test is about the speech. It's like a speech kind of assessment, but it's not true. The IELTS speaking test is more like a conversation kind of examination where the focus here is on your ability to hold conversation in English language. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not so much about the speech, the accent, the rhythm, and all those kind of peripheral things. It's more about the conversation, your ability to hold conversation in English language. So the examiner is your partner. It's like more like the same way if you're having a conversation with your friend, the examiner is more like is taking the place of your friend in this case, right? Now you're having a conversation with this person is a partner, not necessarily a judge. That's the reason why I highly condemn candidates from I will not say this, I will not use the word condemn, but I most time try as much as possible to correct candidates that they have no reason to be afraid of the speaking test because the examiner is not there to judge them, but rather is there to act as a partner in this conversation. You cannot talk to yourself, although some people are fond of talking to themselves. But the speaking test, it's not one where you have to be talking to yourself or you're talking to a robot or an AI. Instead, you'll be talking to a human being, and this person is going to act as your partner. Okay, asking questions so that he can stimulate conversation or the conversation from your end. Okay, so talk naturally. It's important that you talk naturally and expand every single thing that you're trying to say. Make out time to add some intricate details like example, explanation, and so on and so forth in order for you to expand whatever you are being asked that you are answering. Okay. Once you are able to do this effectively, you will definitely score high. Now, if you're going to be a band 8 scorer, if you're going to get band 8 in the IELTS speaking test, then you need to treat the speaking test like it's a chat, like you're chatting or you're going out on a date with the person. All right. You take it like you're having a conversation with a stranger, you're enjoying this conversation. Take it like you're having a conversation with a colleague. Express yourself, feel as confident as possible, and be real. Don't try to, don't try to. I've seen some candidates that when they go take on the speaking test, they try as much as possible to, you know, to do some kind of impression. Maybe the British impression, try to sound like a Brit, try to sound like an American, but you are an African native, like you are from Mozambique, you are from Zimbabwe, you're from Zambia. Try to sound natural, okay? Stay real, stay natural 100%, the most important thing here is your fluency, your pronunciation, and other metrics that the examiner is looking at for, not necessarily your accent. Okay, that one is not even something that the examiner is placing importance on. All right, so here's something that you need to know about all formulas that I've mentioned. They are all connected. They are not random chaos. They are not things that are unnecessary. They are all structured in a way whereby they connect one to another. And then once you learn the patterns on how to answer each of the section, it will become something that will turn you to a formidable force. You stop seeing the test as something that you should be afraid of. In fact, you embrace it as something that you can easily crush anytime, any day. I've done it before, and I'm sure that you can do it based on the guidance that we provided in this free course and in the advanced course that I have appended to this video. If you check the link below, there's an advanced course that I have attached to this video, so that in case you want to skip all this basic stuff and go to advanced concepts and start knowing the detailed question type that we have in the IELTS reading, writing, listening, and speaking, and how to go about them, answering them with questions, with mock tests that you can practice with, and support community that will be there to guide you from time to time. You may want to click that button below so that you can get access to the course immediately. Okay, but if you're still here, know that in the next video I'll be talking on what band score really mean, because in the IELTS there are things called band scores, and maybe you've heard about band scores, but you don't know what band score really means. So I'll be talking about what band scores really mean in real life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you're still here, you are definitely going to be seeing that video. Until then, bye for now. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.